Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is Sheldon Dillingham with Avitrol, and this is Drive-By Bird Control. In this segment, I'm going to give you a few tips on how to survey a site and make determinations that will help set you up to pre-bait successfully. When you're surveying a site, one of the first things that you'll want to do is assess the site sensitivity. I'm not going to go into depth on how to do this fully. We cover that in our video about site sensitivity, but I am going to reiterate, if you've got people nearby, you're in a sensitive site. One of the next things that you'll do when you're surveying the site is determining how many birds there are. One of the best ways to do this is to stay put, take a look at the overall situation and determine where the bird's coming from and where they're going to. What it's going to help you to do is to not only see the birds that you can see visibly on site already, but it's also going to help you see birds that influx in and leave out and go to a different location. Once you determine how many birds there are, that's going to help you determine how much pre-bait you need. For instance, 100 sparrows are going to eat about 1.5 pounds of grain per day. So if you're able to assess the site and determine, hey, I have 100 sparrows here, I know that I'm going to need 1.5 pounds of pre-bait per day that I'm actually baiting. Another step that you'll want to take to successfully survey a site is to identify the non-target risk. So as you can see behind me, I am in a public park. You may see some non-targets back there. And so if you're in a situation where there are non-targets, you're going to want to determine what type of non-targets are nearby and what type of food do those non-targets eat. There are some non-targets who are not grain feeders. And then another thing you can decide is, how do I want to elevate this bait, or how can I put this bait in a place where non-targets don't have access to it? Another part of a successful survey is determining how many baiting trays that you're going to need. We like to break up baiting trays depending on the size of the tray and how many birds there are that are going to be feeding from the tray. So if you're using a 24 by 24 inch tray and you're baiting for pigeons, then you'll want to break it up to somewhere around 10 to maybe 12 pigeons per tray. If you've got 100 birds, then you'll know, hey, I need to use about 10 trays to successfully bait this site. But the other part of that is also looking for great places for tray placement, keeping in mind that right on top of parapet walls is not the best place to put baiting trays. If you're baiting in a rooftop, it's going to be the center of the rooftop. And obviously, in most cases, you want to try to bait in an elevated way where the general public doesn't have access to your bait once it's in the tray. And finally, you'll decide what type of pre-bait you want to use there on the site. Now, one of the things that you'll want to assess is what type of food sources are there nearby. If you're baiting a grain elevator and you've got pigeons already feeding on whole corn, then you'll want to pre-bait them with whole corn as well, because you'll have better pre-bait acceptance. But also understanding that certain birds will only eat grains of certain sizes. So a piece of whole corn is not something that a sparrow is going to eat, but a sparrow will eat something like a chopped corn, or maybe even a wheat or a milo. So you'll have to decide whether you want to use something like our Avitrol corn chop product or our Avitrol mixed grains product. So that's all the tips I've got for you today. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for even more Drive-By Bird Control.